Now, a new analysis shows that the 6-ton iconic altar stone at the heart of Stonehenge originated from northeastern Scotland rather than southwest Wales. The discovery shows that its construction was a far greater collaborative effort than scientists believe.
Grok Artificial Intelligence just finished analyzing every geological survey, acoustic study, and archaeological record ever collected on Stonehenge. The conclusion shook the research team that reviewed it. After 5,000 years of weathering, erosion, and partial collapse, the machine is still functioning. Stonehenge isn't a ruin, it's active, and what Grok identified as its purpose is something no historian ever considered possible: the impossible origins. The altar stone didn't come from Wales, it came from Scotland, 400 miles away. That single finding detonated decades of accepted Stonehenge geology. Dr. Anthony Clark's team at Curtin University runs the discovery in late 2024. Routine mineral analysis. High-precision mass spectrometry at the John de Later Center. The kind of work that normally confirms what everyone already suspects. Clark stares at the readout, asks his colleague to run it again. The numbers hold. The minerals inside one of the most famous rocks on Earth carry a chemical fingerprint dating between 1 and 2 billion years old, with secondary signatures around 450 million years. That combination matches only one geological formation on the planet: the Old Red Sandstone of the Orcadian Basin, hundreds of miles north of Stonehenge in northeast Scotland. Dr. Robert Ixer at University College London, one of the world's foremost authorities on Stonehenge petrology, receives the data within days. He reads it twice. Genuinely shocking, his exact words. The logistics alone defy explanation. A 6-ton block crossing Neolithic Britain. No roads, no wheels, no draft animals capable of the task. Professor Chris Kirkland calculates the only viable route: marine transport. Boats navigating hundreds of kilometers of open coastline, reading tides and currents with precision that wasn't supposed to exist for another 3 millennia. In 2021, archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson confirms the exact quarry in Wales where the bluestones originated. That discovery adds another coordinate to a map that keeps getting larger and more impossible. The stones aren't coming from one distant source, they're coming from everywhere. When Clark's geological data reaches the wider academic community, it doesn't stand alone. Researchers worldwide begin cross-referencing their own archived findings. Bluestones from the Preseli Hills in Wales, 150 miles southwest. Sarsen stones from the Marlborough Downs. Sandstone from Scotland. Every major stone type sourced from a completely different region of Britain. No two materials from the same place. No geological logic connecting the selections. That's when someone feeds the complete geological data set into Grok. The AI cross-references mineral compositions, source coordinates, and material properties across every stone simultaneously. A pattern analysis that would take a human team years. Within the dataset, Grok flags an anomaly no researcher had identified. The stones share no common origin, no geographic logic, no aesthetic pattern. What they share are acoustic resonance profiles, magnetic susceptibility ranges, and specific mineral densities. Grok's pattern recognition identifies the selection criteria with high confidence. Every stone from every distant quarry was chosen for how it vibrates, how it conducts magnetic fields, and how it interacts with sound. When Grok simulates these exact materials arranged in the known Stonehenge configuration, the acoustic and electromagnetic interactions prove far too precise for coincidence, far too coordinated for accident. The builders weren't hauling rocks for symbolism, they were sourcing components for a machine, and Grok's simulation reveals what those components produce when assembled. A finding that changes everything about what Stonehenge actually does to the human body: the acoustic weapon. For decades, visitors report the same thing without knowing others experienced it too: a low vibration settling into the chest, pressure behind the eyes, a weight in the stomach that arrives without explanation and vanishes the moment they step outside the stone circle. Most researchers file these accounts under imagination, the psychological power of standing somewhere ancient. Trevor Cox proves them wrong. In 2020, the acoustical engineer constructs a precise 1:12 scale replica of Stonehenge's original configuration at the University of Salford. 3D printed stones, exact placements. The replica sits inside a sealed acoustic chamber that eliminates all external interference. When Cox's team runs the first test, the playback stops the room cold. Voices inside the circle amplify naturally. Music gains depth and resonance that shouldn't exist in an open-air structure. The stone arrangement produces reverberation lasting just over half a second, enough to make ordinary speech sound powerful, almost otherworldly. Then Cox discovers the boundary effect. One step outside the circle, and the acoustic environment vanishes, completely, instantly. The monument creates a contained sonic world with edges as sharp as physical walls. He runs the test again. Same result. Again, identical. The structure also eliminates all internal echoes. The inner stones disrupt reflections from the outer ring so precisely that no sound bounces back. Random construction doesn't produce that. Deliberate acoustic engineering does. Rupert Till at the University of Huddersfield takes the investigation further. He focuses on the Welsh bluestones, the ones Neolithic builders transported 150 miles from the Preseli Hills. These stones possess a property that makes Till pause. When struck, they ring, clear metallic tones like bells. The Welsh region they come from carries the local name Manclochog, translation, ringing stones. Ancient builders crossed 150 miles of hostile terrain to retrieve rocks that sing. Till's detailed modeling reveals what the arrangement actually generates. Low-frequency resonance oscillating between 18 and 19 hertz. A range with a clinical designation, infrasound. It sits just below conscious human hearing. You don't detect it with your ears. Your body detects it without your permission. Standing inside an infrasound field at that frequency, your heart rate accelerates involuntarily. Your peripheral vision distorts. Anxiety rises from nowhere, not triggered by thought, not connected to any threat you can identify. The vibration resonates in your chest cavity and behind your eye sockets. At sustained exposure, people report overwhelming feelings of awe, dread, and a compulsion to submit that bypasses rational processing entirely. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for critical thinking, gets overridden by a physiological response you cannot control. Some test subjects in laboratory infrasound studies describe the sensation as religious terror, absolute certainty that something immense and invisible is present in the room watching them. Others report involuntary tears, sudden nausea, or a feeling of physical weight pressing down on their shoulders from above. Now Grok connects the threads. The AI cross-references Till's acoustic modeling with Clark's geological data and its own material property analysis. The pattern locks into place. Every stone from every distant quarry contributes a specific frequency response to the overall acoustic output. The bluestones provide resonance. The sarsens provide reflection control. The alterstone from Scotland provides a specific harmonic anchor that completes the frequency architecture. None of this works with local materials. None of it works with random selection. The builders sourced acoustic components from across an entire island to construct a precision instrument that generates infrasound capable of overriding human emotional autonomy. Under the right conditions, everyone inside the circle experiences the same psychological shift, simultaneously, without awareness, without consent. That sensation visitors feel today, that heaviness, that inexplicable awe, isn't the romance of ancient ruins. It's the machine, still operating after 50 centuries. Subscribe now, because when Grok combines this acoustic data with Stonehenge's celestial alignments, it uncovers something that makes the infrasound look like a warm-up. The celestial trigger. Everyone knows Stonehenge aligns with the solstices. Summer sunrise, winter sunset. Documented for centuries. That's where most researchers stop looking. Grok doesn't stop. The AI maps precise stone placements against reconstructed stellar positions from 3000 BCE, the sky as the builders actually saw it. The solstice alignments confirm immediately, but Grok's pattern recognition flags a second geometric structure embedded in the layout, one that doesn't track the sun, doesn't follow the moon, doesn't correspond to any visible star, planet, or known celestial body. The sightlines converge through specific trilithon pairs, the massive uprights with their crossbeams, and extend through gaps between the outer Sarsen circle at angles that eliminate every major astronomical object. Grok runs probability analysis on the positioning, a 94% likelihood that these specific angles are deliberately engineered, not incidental geometry created by solar alignment, a separate, intentional targeting system built into the same structure. The coordinates point to a region of apparently empty sky in the constellation boundary between Draco and Ursa Minor. No bright star occupies that position. No visible object has occupied it within recorded astronomical history. From a conventional standpoint, the builders aimed a permanent stone instrument at nothing, but Grok processes what nothing means on astronomical timescales. That region of sky sits near the path traced by Earth's precession, the 26,000-year wobble of the planet's axis that slowly shifts which star serves as the North Star. 5,000 years ago, the celestial pole was migrating through that exact region. No single star marked true north. The builders may have been tracking the invisible point itself, the axis around which the entire sky appears to rotate, marked by no star at all. Grok models the geometry further. The encoded angles don't just point at a fixed position, they define intervals. The spacing between sightlines corresponds to mathematical divisions of the precessional cycle, segments of a 26,000-year clock carved into stone. The monument doesn't just record where the celestial pole sits now, it tracks where the pole has been and projects where it will go. The implications ripple outward. Accurate knowledge of precession requires centuries of continuous astronomical observation, generations of skywatchers recording stellar positions with enough precision to detect a drift that moves less than 1 degree per human lifetime. Modern astronomers didn't fully map the precessional cycle until the era of telescopes. These builders encoded it into stone architecture using nothing but naked eye observation and mathematical reasoning, so advanced it wouldn't be matched for 4,500 years. What kind of event demands a tracking system built to operate across millennia? Precessional cycles correlate with long-term shifts in Earth's axial tilt, changes in seasonal extremes, and, according to increasingly accepted climate research, cyclical patterns in glaciation and catastrophic climate disruption. The builders experienced something tied to the sky's longest cycles, something severe enough to justify generations of labor hauling stones from the far corners of an island to build a warning system their descendants might need 10,000 years later. And they didn't just build a tracker, they housed it inside an acoustic weapon that forces submission in anyone who enters. They paired the celestial calendar with a system designed to override human free will. The alignment still holds, the geometry still tracks. After 5,000 years, the sightlines still converge on the same precessional corridor. Whatever the builders aim this instrument at, the machine is still watching. The hidden hierarchy. Grok models the labor requirements to build Stonehenge, and the numbers eliminate every comfortable narrative. Quarrying, transporting, shaping, and erecting the monument demands an estimated 20 million hours of coordinated human labor, spanning at minimum 1,500 years. That requires feeding, housing, and directing thousands of workers across dozens of generations, each generation inheriting the exact same blueprint without deviation. The caloric demands alone imply agricultural surplus systems, feeding a permanent construction workforce that produces no food of its own. Grok calculates the minimum sustainable population to support that labor output. Tens of thousands of people organized across southern Britain, all funneling resources toward a single construction site for longer than most modern nations have existed. Voluntary tribal cooperation doesn't generate that. Seasonal gathering doesn't sustain it. Grok's organizational modeling calculates the minimum viable command structure, centralized authority with multi-generational continuity, resource extraction networks spanning the entire island, and a knowledge class that maintained astronomical and engineering expertise across centuries without written language. Someone controlled this operation with absolute authority across the whole of Britain. But the most chilling detail isn't what the archaeological record shows, it's what the record doesn't show. Grok scans thousands of excavation reports from the Stonehenge landscape and surrounding regions. In a voluntary cooperation model, the record should contain evidence of negotiation, abandoned construction phases where alliances broke down, competing designs reflecting different tribal priorities, defensive structures protecting valuable stone stockpiles, evidence of trade disputes or territorial conflict over quarry access. None of that exists. In a conquest model, the record should contain evidence of force, mass graves near construction zones, weapon caches, fortification walls, burned settlements, skeletal remains showing combat trauma. None of that exists either. What the record shows is centuries of unbroken construction, perfect continuity, zero visible resistance, zero conflict. A population that labored across generations without any archaeological trace of objection. No graffiti of dissent, no sabotage stones, no hidden burials suggesting executed resistors, nothing. The research team that reviews Grok's analysis finds this absence more alarming than any battlefield. Resistance always leaves marks. Rebellion scars the earth. The total absence of opposition suggests control so complete that dissent never formed, or was erased so thoroughly that 5,000 years of archaeology cannot find a single trace. Consider what that implies about the acoustic system. A ruling class that understood how infrasound overrides rational thought didn't just use that knowledge to build a monument, they used it to govern. Populations gathered inside the circle wouldn't just feel awe, they'd feel compulsion. Obedience wouldn't be a choice, it would be a physiological event. The machine wasn't only pointed at the sky, it was pointed at the people standing inside it. And get this, that small ruling class possessed knowledge of acoustic manipulation, celestial mechanics, and engineering logistics that vanished entirely when their civilization ended. Lost for millennia until modern scientists independently rediscovered it, they commanded an island. They built a machine whose operators understood its full purpose while the labor force did not. And they maintained that system, without interruption, for longer than most civilizations survive. History has no name for them, no record of their rule, no account of their collapse. They existed long enough to reshape the physical landscape of an entire island, then disappeared so completely that modern archaeology can barely prove they were there at all. Only the machine remains. The machine awakens. Grok's final analysis converges every data set into a single operational model. And this is the part that stays with you. The acoustic system doesn't run constantly. Grok identifies synchronization between the infrasound generation and specific celestial configurations. The monument's acoustic properties intensify when atmospheric conditions align with particular seasonal and precessional positions. The same positions encoded in the sightline geometry. The builders didn't construct a static monument. They engineered a triggered system, one that activates when the sky reaches configurations they considered critical. Modern instruments confirm the mechanism still functions. Acoustic researchers measure amplified low-frequency resonance inside the circle during solstice periods. Visitors during these alignments report the same sensations the infrasound research predicts: chest pressure, heightened emotion, a sense of presence, at rates significantly higher than during ordinary visits. The stones still vibrate at the designed frequencies. The geometry still tracks its target coordinates. The trigger conditions still occur on schedule. 50 centuries of weathering haven't disabled the core functions. The machine the builders designed to outlast their own civilization has done exactly that. Every generation that has walked among those stones, Roman soldiers, medieval monks, Victorian tourists, modern archaeologists, none of them understood they were standing inside an active instrument. They felt it. They couldn't name it. Now, Grok can. Grok assembles the complete operational picture, a precision acoustic instrument tuned to override human emotional processing, a celestial tracking system monitoring a 26,000-year cycle encoded in stone, a triggered activation protocol that synchronizes psychological manipulation with specific astronomical events, a command structure so absolute that it built and maintained this system across more generations than most empires last. Each element verified independently through peer-reviewed research. Each element connected to the others through Grok's cross-referential analysis. Together, they describe something that shouldn't exist in the Neolithic world: a programmable monument. The research team reaches their interpretation. Stonehenge was built in response to something, a recurring catastrophic event tied to the longest astronomical cycles. The builders experienced it, survived it, and spent centuries constructing a machine to prepare their descendants for its return. The acoustic system ensures compliance when the time comes. No debate, no resistance, no individual choice. The celestial alignment tracks when the event recurs. The multi-generational construction guaranteed the machine would outlast any single civilization. Here's the catch. The precessional cycle the geometry tracks hasn't completed a full revolution since the monument was built. The count hasn't reached zero. Whatever the builders were tracking, whatever event they feared enough to construct a mind control machine aimed at the sky and designed to outlive them by millennia, the cycle they encoded into those stones is still running. The stones have stood for 5,000 years. The frequencies still function. The sightlines still converge. The trigger conditions still cycle through on a timescale longer than all of recorded human history. The real question isn't what Stonehenge is. Grok mapped that. The real question is what event the builders experienced that terrified them enough to build a machine that hijacks human consciousness and points it at coordinates in the sky, and whether the countdown carved into those stones is approaching something we're not prepared for. Knowing that Stonehenge still functions as an acoustic manipulation device tracking coordinates we can't fully explain, does that make the monument more impressive or more terrifying? Drop your answer in the comments. Hit subscribe and smash that like button if you want more secrets excavated from history. The past isn't as primitive as we were told.